Hi everybody, welcome back to Sunshine Soap and Candle Company. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make a banana and coconut cold process soap. We're going to be using actual banana in this formula for its moisturizing properties, and bananas are also rich in vitamins, therefore making it beneficial for your skin. All right, let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and mash up about 2 ounces of fresh banana. This was a ripe kind of yellow peel banana. It wasn't overly ripe and it wasn't green either. So this is just a perfectly ripe banana. Actually, this is how I prefer to eat them as well. Just super sweet, but kind of firm, not too mushy. Now, the more ripe of a banana you use, also the more sugars you're going to be adding to your soap, which will create a beautiful lather, a creamy, beautiful lather in your soap, but also it will accelerate trace a little bit to have more sugar content. So we're going to be adding 2 ounces of fresh banana to the bottom half of this soap. So that will be roughly 2 pounds of soap. We're going to be doing a layered soap today. So I'm just trying to get this nice and mashed up so we don't get any chunks that don't blend into the soap. And then we'll go ahead and set this aside. All right, so we're ready to go ahead and add our lye and water solution into our melted oils and butters. So this is the same formula that we used in the sweet potato and brown sugar soap, and so it's made up of olive oil, palm oil, castor oil, coconut oil, shea butter, stearic acid, and sweet almond oil. It's a really balanced bar of soap with a great creamy lather, and it also sets up to be really hard. So this formula is available over on my Patreon campaign under the sweet potato and brown sugar recipe or the fall soaps from last year. So you can head on over there if you would like to make this and check it out. So what we're going to do is go ahead and we're going to get the lye slowly mixed in. We're just going to reach a very light trace here. I don't know if you guys, some of you may remember back in 2018, I did a banana and chocolate milk soap. I made a tiny loaf of that, and I really liked that loaf of soap. So bananas, the reason why I am only doing the banana and half of it is because it will discolor the soap a little bit, but that's perfect because it's going to be like a light brown kind of color with speckles, and that will represent the coconut portion of this soap in the design that I'm doing. So I didn't really want all of that throughout the whole soap. I love adding fruit purees and vegetable purees to my soaps. I think it just gives it a nice kind of label appeal, and whatever benefits you may be getting out of the vitamins and minerals from the fruits and vegetables. Let me know if that's something that you're into in the comments below. I'll also leave the link to my Patreon campaign down in the description box below. There's so much to take advantage of over there. We have hundreds of recipes and tutorials for you to take advantage of. So much content. I think compared to a lot of creators and such that I see that use Patreon, I have a ton of content over there. So I'm just going to pour off a little bit for the top. This is going to be for the piping. I tend to overdo it and pour too much. I always have more piping than I need. I probably need to just get a little bit more precise about weighing that off. So we're going to go ahead and set that aside for just a minute, and then I'm going to divide the rest of this in half. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I probably don't have room in these containers to do this in half. Let's see. Okay, just barely. It's gonna be a close fit. You know what? Especially once I add the bananas, I'm gonna go get a bigger container. All right, better to be safe than sorry. So I'm gonna dump this half into this container here. And then we can add our bananas. Now I'm not adding any color to this part of the soap because, again, the bananas are gonna give it a natural tan color with a little bit of speckling, and I want that kind of brown speckling to show through to kind of look a little bit like coconut, like toasted coconut, but like the kind you would see in a coconut cream pie. Just getting the rest of that soap moved over here. Okay. So to this, we're going to go ahead and add in our mashed bananas. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in some of the fragrance as well. This is the banana coconut from Wholesale Supplies Plus. It smells really good. It's just got a nice fruity tropical kind of vibe. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a little less than half because I want to reserve some of it for the piping as well. So moving this soap out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and give this a good blend. So I want to blend this up to kind of a medium thick trace. So this fragrance is behaving really well in this formula. I think we're going to go ahead and stop there. And then I'm going to get my mold. I want to go ahead and set this mold on a tilt. I'm just going to give it a diagonal kind of design, so it'll be a 50-50 banana, half no banana, and it's going to be on a diagonal. So let's see if I can do this while it's facing you guys here. It smells really good. I love this fragrance. So all I'm going to do now is just allow this soap to set up firm enough for me to pour a second layer on. I'm kind of debating if I want to put on a mica line. No, I think I'm just going to leave it plain. All right, so then I'm just going to take some rubbing alcohol, spritz this down. This will help the layers to kind of set up a little bit quicker, forming a skin, and it will also help me when I pour my second layer on the top. So we're going to go ahead and just spritz this down, and we're going to allow this to set up. I'll bring you back for the next step. All right, so we're ready to go ahead and move on to the next steps here, and that includes getting our piping prepared and then getting this second layer prepared. Now I'm going to be preparing the piping now so that it starts to set up while we're making this half here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pour in some titanium dioxide into this container. We're just going to do some nice piping that looks sort of like whipped cream dollops. And then in this one I'm using Love and Sunshine by Nurture Soap. I guess I'm going for kind of a bright light yellow. And then we're going to pour most of the fragrance in here and give the piping a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and blend the piping and just get it set off to the side. Nice, beautiful white color. Getting that set off to the side, and then we're going to go ahead and get this nice medium trace we've got going on here. Moving my soap back in here. Okay. Now, I actually think I want to turn it this way so I can see what I'm doing here, but I know it's not the best angle for you guys, but I just want to pour it in a little bit this way so I can see what I'm doing. Because the top is still very soft, I want to make sure I'm not breaking through any layers. But to show you, this soap is starting to get those beautiful kind of brown speckles from the bananas, and it's already turning a light tan color, so it's going to be gorgeous. Okay, so what I'm going to do is spritz this with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, again, just to help create, it'll help the soap cover and slide over the surface area. So we're going to go ahead and get this going. I'm just going to start, I'm pouring it close to the top here so that we don't accidentally break through that layer. So I'm holding my second layer kind of close to the all right. Now I'm going to remove the book and gently put it down. That's a really pretty yellow color, and it will kind of lighten up over the course of 24 hours. But it's a really nice, bright, happy yellow. This fragrance does really well as far as how it smells in the soap. It really doesn't morph or anything like that. It smells really good, and it performs really well. I also have used this fragrance in a banana coconut natural shower gel. So those are over on my Etsy store and my website. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and get a chopstick and kind of swirl the top just a little bit. All right, so we're just going to take a chopstick and do kind of a figure 8 design across the top. And this just gives it a little bit of texture. All right. Now to check on my piping. It actually looks like it's setting up pretty nicely here. Okay. It is thickening up, but not ready. So I'm going to go ahead and give this another stick blend. See if I can't kind of thicken it up a little bit, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to pipe the top. All right, we are ready to go ahead and place the piping on the top here. And I really contemplated whether or not I wanted to use any glitter, and I decided against it because I think I really just want the white and yellow to be the dominant colors against that tan kind of beautiful coconut color we're going to get. And this piping texture is perfect. Most of you know from my last soap video that my multi-bar soap cutter has finally broken. Gosh, that thing cut a lot of soap over the years. So I am knowing I need to get another one, and I know what kind I want. I'm just really putting off. I have a lot of things that I need to purchase, including a new computer and a new camera here pretty soon. And now adding to the list a soap cutter it's just a lot. So it's interesting how when things break, they go all at once. So I think I'm just gonna add a little bit more to each one, just a little, because we are gonna be putting a round on here and it does tend to squish the piping down a bit. So yeah, no glitter for this one, because the glitters that I have, well, I don't think any of them will go with that kind of natural color that's on the bottom, personally. Maybe if I had like a beautiful light kind of tan colored one, that might look good, but I don't have anything like that in the way of glitter, but I might be able to do a little bit of a mica sprinkle on the top. Let's see how I feel. Let's see how I feel after I get the yellow embeds on top. So then here I just made these little yellow embeds out of melt and pour soap and the same Sunshine Yellow mica. I'm gonna go ahead and take off my gloves for this part. Embeds like to slip right through my fingers. So each dollop is gonna get, yes, each dollop is gonna get one. So cute. So one thing that I always do, I've been getting this question more frequently again lately, but one thing I always do, when I give you guys my recipes, I give you the recipe with the full water, but then I always make a little notation in the tutorial that that's the lye and the water amount that the lye calculator I use recommends, and then I always discount my water. I always discount my water by 10%. And the reason I do that is it makes it much easier to unmold after 24 hours. I never have any issues unmolding soaps, especially with the recipes that I've come up with when I discount by 10%. Also, I find with soap, with discounting your soap water, with discounting liquid in your soap, I hardly ever get soda ash anymore. Now, how could I be one little embed shy here? I thought I had 15. I only have 14. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can't whip up a little embed here real quick while the soap is still setting up. This is kind of a funny thing, but I thought I had 15 and I only had 14, so I'm gonna be doing this here real quick. So this is all I do when I make my embeds, but I'm hoping that will stay soft enough for me to then put that in there. So I had some leftover yellow little lemons from another project, so I just took one of them, cut it up, melted it down real quick, and I'm gonna pop it in here and then hope it sets up quickly. In the meantime, I think we are gonna go ahead and just dust this with a little bit of like a tan kind of mica. All right, I went ahead and popped that little embed into the freezer. You're not really supposed to do that because it can draw moisture to it and then your embeds can sweat, but I will go ahead and top it with a little rubbing alcohol as well to make sure we don't get that. I'm just gonna use a little bit of this beautiful Rapunzel mica on a makeup brush here and just lightly dust. Yeah, just wanted to kind of go for something more natural looking than straight glitter that will, actually I think the glitter colors would clash with this, you know, because they do have different colors in the specks, and the way the light hits them, you know, they're all kinds of colors, iridescents, purples, blues. I have some silvers and some gold looking ones. So I just was going for a more kind of toasted coconut kind of look. Yeah, that looks great. Kind of just gives it a little bit more interest and texture. on the piping, especially because it's white and it looks like whipped cream. And you know, if you ever looked at a coconut cream pie, they have that toasted coconut in the whipped cream. There we go, perfect. Then I'm just going to take my rubbing alcohol, go ahead and spritz this down. This will also help to prevent soda ash. I'm going to check on that embed and see if I can pop it out yet. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's see if I can very carefully unmold this. It's still warm, but it's set up. If we can very carefully unmold this, I can pop it on. Hopefully that soap isn't too set up to take an embed. All right, wish me luck, everyone. Ta-da! Yay! Woo! What a save. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little bit of Rapunzel mica on top of this guy. There we go. Giving it a little dusting. There we go. A little spritz. Beautiful. All right, so that is the making of banana coconut cold process soap. Stay tuned for the cutting. All right, everyone, it's been about 24 hours and this beautiful banana coconut soap is ready to cut. I just wanted to show you what it looks like in its entirety before we cut it open. That is a beautiful kind of light tan brown color that the banana turned this bottom half. And there, see, we did it on a diagonal. So I cannot wait to see what this looks like on the inside. It's probably going to be a little bit lighter in color, the bottom part on the inside until it hits the air. We shall see. So I also really like the way this yellow cured out to a beautiful kind of just light, more muted yellow. And that yellow typically does behave like that, I've noticed. So we're gonna go ahead and give this a cut. I may need to just take this guide off, yeah, to make sure I'm not cutting through any piping or just making them as evenly cut as possible. Okay, here's the first cut. Looking really gorgeous. So pretty. So as predicted, this is the inside. This will get to the same color as that little border there after it cures for about another day or so. But it's so pretty and it smells really good. Just trying to line my cutter up with in between the piping the best that I can. So pretty. All right, I'll go ahead and cut one more for you. This is going to be a nice and moisturizing bar of soap. All right, everybody, that's how you make a banana coconut soap using real banana. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave me some questions and comments below. That really means a lot to me. Share this video with a friend, and why not subscribe to my channel? All right, everyone, catch you on the next video. Bye. Keep shining.